go ahead and get started. So good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So why don't we call ourselves to order? Next item on the agenda is the approval of the October 25th minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Okay. Any comments on the agenda? Changes? If not, I entertain a motion to approve. Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody no? I will abstain since I wasn't here. Okay. All right, very good. Item number 3 is public comment. And I don't know how many of the members of the audience who wish to make comment. Let me just see a show of hands. How many members? Okay. Okay, we will do it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask consideration, given that the committee only has an hour to move through, that we try to limit public comment to a total of 15 minutes, which should hopefully honor your right to be able to make a comment, but also give the committee enough time to be able to move through the other items on the agenda. So if that's agreeable with everyone, since we didn't sign cards in a particular order, Rod, I think I saw you go in first, so we'll start with you, sir.
Yeah.
Could I ask you just to be?
Yeah.
I won't be recording.
Yeah, Rod Foster, Visual Arts Media Studies. And I just want to talk briefly about the effort to reinstate winter for the next year. And our numbers are in the Visual Arts Media Studies division. I'm not sure about what they look like for other divisions right now, but we're down about 5% or more in all of our major areas in terms of enrollment. And I believe it's because we are now misaligned with every other institution in our area. We believe that one of the things that's happening is some number of our students who needed winter and spring in order to transfer have angled off to Santa Monica and other places where there's a winter intersection, so that's a possibility. And we've got some pretty serious FTES targets to hit. Under Prop 30, we have had FTES goals reinstated. I understand from Bob Miller that we're also being given the go-ahead to grow 1.8%, but we got to have the FTES to get there. And what I'm really afraid of going forward is our first summer session doesn't align with anybody except us. That it'll be over before our feeder high schools let out. And it's going to be hard to make those FTES targets. That's how we're funded. That's the mechanism for it. So this year is a lost cause. Luckily, the second summer session starts before the 1st of July, which means that we can use those numbers that we accrue towards our FTES targets from second summer session, but then that'll put us in the hole for the following year, 13-14. So it's not too late to reinsert winter into the 2014 calendar and to put us back into proper alignment with the other schools in our broader service area.
Danny, your hand up? Okay, you're up for it.
All right, I just want to read something from the transcript from the Board of Trustees meeting on August 29th regarding the calendar when it was being discussed, and that was the night they voted, I believe, on changing the calendar. This was a question from Dr. Jeanette Mann, and the response was from Dr. Bell. And again, I'm in the middle of the paragraph here. I don't want to read the whole thing, but basically he's talking about the summer. It says, so a student who needs to complete a summer class to be in line with the UCS-CSU transfer could in fact finish the spring semester mid-May, take a class of first half of the 16-week summer session, conclude that summer class just about the time now that we currently conclude our spring semester. And as Dr. Olivo mentioned, then be better aligned to have a transfer level class at the end of the summer ready for consideration to a transfer university. So, in essence, the administration was trying to convince the board to approve a calendar that had not been vetted, and it eliminated the winter intersession. But the argument was, well, the students could still get their transfers. Well, now an email has been sent out to our students on January 27th, and among other things, one of the paragraphs says, please do not assume you can take courses in the summer 2013 and have those courses make up for courses you didn't complete in fall 2012 or spring 2013. Please contact the UC campus directly about their policies permitting summer course completion. So the point of that is to just point out that the fact that the calendar that we are currently on was not vetted has caused all kinds of chaos, and this being one of the major ones that's really affected the students. So in that regard, I'm asking, you guys can decide what you want to do, but I'm asking you to vote on two things. I would like this committee to vote to approve the last calendar that was vetted through the shared governance process, which included a winter session, and to vote to disapprove any calendar that has not been vetted through the shared governance process, which includes the current calendar that does not have a winter intersession.
Thank you, Danny. Roger.
Ron and Danny covered a number of things that I would have covered. Thank you very much. I'm Roger Martin from the FA as well. And I just want to say thank you to this committee, because you have been steadfast through some very, very difficult times. And we all admire your integrity and your courage to continue on, despite the fact that all of your deliberations, similar to other committees on campus, have been undermined by unilateral changes from management on high. So I want to thank you and encourage you to stay the course. You should also know that, just to be clear about the winter session from a strictly union point of view, we filed an unfair labor practice. The Public Employee Relations Board does not act quickly. It may be as much as 18 months, literally like summer of 2014, before it would come to a hearing. Additionally, we are in mediation, and that mediation involves calendar and all other contractual issues. So we are pursuing that as best we can on our side. But you should also continue to deliberate and pursue the best possible calendar that you can come up with. I agree with Danny. I understand your purview is not necessarily winter, but taking a vote along the lines of what Danny suggested, I think is a great thing. It makes the concept fresh, and it revives the idea and how important it is. A couple of other points. One is, as I understand this week, that the Academic Senate has also reactivated its calendar committee. And whether it's the FA or whether it's the Academic Senate, I just want you to know this is, neither of us wants to in any way undermine your efforts or somehow make you feel like you're not doing your job. We want to support you. And each of these is an attempt to strengthen our overall unity on campus, in which there's a huge consensus that we need a winter session. And Bob was here yesterday, and Bob mentioned with College Council that we may not be eligible for the full $6.7 million that Prop 30 would have given us if our FTES is low. Now, the rumor I've heard, and I don't have substantiated facts, that we're right now down about 1,200 FTES, and that's a sizable number. So I agree with Rod, an awful lot of bad things have happened due to mismanagement, and what seems to be at one level a kind of mean-spiritedness and a lack of rational planning. But that's what they did. What we do, we must be unified and consistent and pursue our efforts with all due diligence. So thank you very much for standing firm.
Yes, Rita D'Amico, Foreign Languages. I'm speaking for many of my colleagues who like me are very concerned about the low enrollment that we're in this semester as a consequence of the winter elimination. And the decision to eliminate the winter was rushed, even before Proposition 40 passed. And now the students that they are taking classes in the summer, as my colleague said previously, they won't receive credit. So is our priority student success and student transfer? Because what are we doing here? And the new calendar year proposed is starting date on January 6th for the spring semester for next year. And I think this issue is very important. 2,700 students signed a petition that they want to reinstate winter. and there was a faculty survey, 76% they want winter back, and this issue has to be taken to the academic senate calendar committee, needs to be addressed.
Yep. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am, please.
Hi, Kelly Camacho, English and Fine Arts double major. I just wanted to bring a student perspective to the talk about winter. Everyone's already brought up full-time student enrollment, but some student issues with cutting winter, especially given that we're a community college. We need to consider that our working students are really affected by the cutting of winter session. For instance, if we think about, we're trying to get everyone out of here in 2 years, 60 units, sometimes more if you have a major that requires more units. Like for instance, English and Fine Arts double major, I definitely need more than 60 units. For a lot of students, especially those who are working, 15 units a semester and work, you're not going to be able to get those good grades, to get that 3.5, 3.4 that's competitive to get you to the UCs. So many of our working students definitely need either to take fall, spring, and winter, or fall, spring, and summer. And yes, you can say that they could take summer courses, but a lot of our students work in summer, and having those two separate choices really opens up the school to working students, especially considering that we live in California. A lot of the jobs that students are able to get, where we can make money, restaurants, hotels, and so forth, a lot of the hiring happens and the money is in summer. So, for instance, myself, I've worked in restaurants at the beach over the course of summer and saved that money for art supplies and books. So if we only have 2 summer sessions, a lot of our students who need to work during summer and still want to take 3 semesters of courses to get out of here in a timely fashion, we're limiting access to those students. Not to mention the fact that even though this calendar was called an 8-year experiment, the change was done with much more care than this changed, and part of the reason why it was changed is because that second summer session was under-enrolled. And it's under-enrolled because, honestly, as a student, the thought of doing 2 6-week sessions back-to-back, that sounds horrible and grueling. Pedagogically speaking, I can't imagine doing 2 of those really fast sessions back-to-back. It hasn't happened yet, but I would be interested in seeing the enrollment for that number 2 summer session and see how many students want to do 2 really fast sessions back to back. And it's interesting because at that August 29th meeting, part of the whole reason of why we changed this calendar is because we were talking about how 6-week sessions are too grueling. And then instead of trying to think of a way to make things easier, we put those 2 supposedly overly grueling sessions next to each other and expect students who are really dedicated, who take all of the sessions, to do them back to back. I don't understand the logic from that, and a lot of students that I've spoken to are really unsure about being able to take those 2 sessions. And that's all I have.
Do we have time for one more comment? So,
Just the concern about losing students.
can we get your name?
Oh, Charlene Potter, Languages.
Thanks, Charlotte.
With the drop in the FTEs and other colleges that have the winter intersession, I think we're among the only colleges in California that has dropped the winter session. That means students are going to go elsewhere. And if we're worried about FTEs, we're going to lose those students to other colleges, and we won't get those FTEs, and we will lose money from Prop 30. That's my concern.
Can I make it just brief?
Please.
Thanks. Paul Gerald, Natural Sciences. If my memory's right, the rationale for the calendar switch to eliminate winter intersession was predicated upon financial concerns. Those don't appear to be there now, so I'm curious why the calendar that's forwarded here from the district is one that's just like the one we're on, even though the financial issues aren't there. And also, I would hope that the committee would request from the district 2 things. One, financial implications, and the result of the switch, where money saved, things like that. It might be too early to tell. But also, I really hope we would consider the larger pedagogical issues that are at hand, and that there be a forum for that within this committee to express that before we move on to something as similar to the one we just had, given the responses that we just had. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm sure everyone in the committee appreciates this, at least I know I do. Okay, so having moved to public comment, committee will take up. Is that a question?
I'm gonna have a comment.
Do I get to comment?
Well,
Just let me know when I can comment, and I'll comment.
Okay, well, why don't we move on to agenda item number 4? And Glenda, if your comment is germane to any conversation we're going to have, since we're taking up the discussion of the 2012-2014 calendar, might be the appropriate time to do it there as opposed to a comment from the public comment, if you will. Right. So item number 4 is committee consideration of the 2013-2014 calendar that I think all the committee members have in front of you. Okay.
I have a couple of technical questions, I suppose. One, the 176 days of instruction, does that include Sundays and or finals?
No.
No.
Okay, because I count 169. And 2, do we as a body have the power to insert winter into the calendar?
You say we as a body, this
The
committee?
calendar committee.
We do not.
Okay. Then I'm back to I count 169.
Okay, well, I didn't do the math on this, and your math is probably more correct. It does not count Sundays, and it does not count finals.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So we would need to,
We'll go back
let's
and
count them up again when we get into that.
And if I'm in error,
We'll count that, I think it will count that.
I did not count September or October 1st as the faculty professional development day.
Well, that
That does
counts.
count.
That counts as a day of instruction. The chancellor's office allows any student to take a certain number of days out for professional development days. They do count towards 176 days of instruction, even though we're not formally in instruction.
Okay, I'll be happy to find out that I'm wrong. With regard to the dates here, one of the things that we're facing during this current semester is that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Monday, Wednesday classes are losing a lot of instructional time, upwards of 2 weeks in the case of Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, because we have 3 Monday holidays and 1 Friday.
Right.
So I'm wondering if it's possible for us to push finals week to starting on Tuesday, keeping that last Monday as a day of instruction.
That's a good idea.
That is definitely within the purview of this committee to recommend. So,
Okay, I'd like us to consider that.
Finals, that would start
Say it
when?
again, Matt.
So I'd like to see us start finals instead of May, what is that, May? I'm sorry, April 28th it starts. I'd like to see finals start April 29th and retain April 28th as a day of instruction.
Since there's so many Mondays missing.
It would give us 1 Monday back, and it'll soften things up a little bit for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes.
Another thing we might want to think about along that line is deleting the week off between the spring and the
Oh my
and the
gosh.
summer. Now, this is the way it has been, or up until the last 2 or 3 years. We went directly from spring into summer. Now, I know we like that,
Well,
but
I hear you. On the heels of the student comment here,
Mount SAC does not have.
killing that week and then 2 of those 6-week back-to-back sessions, it would be hard on everybody. In fact, I was going to, one of my colleagues, one of the people in my department asked if we could consider inserting another week off at the beginning of January, giving us a longer winter break.
So Matt, with that, with that last suggestion entail moving the spring January to January 13th as opposed to January 6th?
That's correct.
Okay.
No, but the question is, should we not consider the calendar with a winter session? Is that not another purview of this committee at all?
Well, the charge of the calendar committee, we've gone through this before, we all know, is to sit the operational days under the calendar. Okay, now the calendar is set by the Board of Governors. The calendar that's set for 13-14 currently is the calendar before us. Okay, so it's really not the purview of this committee to change the calendar per day. We could change, for example, dates of finals, operational days under the calendar, but it's not the purview of the committee. to
Yeah,
change
but
the calendar.
the argument that we advance is that this was vetted by us and therefore accepted by us. You're giving us Hobson's choice.
Well, first of all, I'm not
You
giving
know.
it, okay? Secondly, and I don't mean that defensively, it's like, it's not coming from me as a chair or a co-chair. Where we are now is, we have the obligation as a committee to, again, vet this discussion, final breaks, those kind of things, under the calendar that is approved by the Board of Trustees.
Yeah, but you see what, the reason why I'm asking is because even if we do this reluctantly, this is used as for saying that we have agreed to the calendar.
I would just like to interject that the calendar is a negotiable item, and this calendar has never been negotiated by the Faculty Association. And it was approved by numerous shared governance committees and went to the Chancellor's office, the original calendar with winter. This calendar was given to us by the Board of Trustees, and I'm assuming it's been rolled over. But if we're going to talk about it, I'd just like to go on record as saying is that that does not constitute a vetting of the calendar.
I'm sorry. Either, whoever.
Yeah, well, I also wanted to add that 2 years ago, when we were after President Rocha's remarks that he didn't like winter calendar and the financial difficulties, we were charged with drafting an alternate calendar.
Yes.
And I think that's the least we should be able to do here.
Yeah, again, because we were asked to draft it, yes. In other words, you were limiting the powers of the committee now compared to what it had before.
Okay, well, again, I'm a single voice. I just happen to be a co-chair. I'm not, the unilateral chair of the committee. And I know the discussion, I don't know the discussion, I know other discussion when the superintendent president came and asked the committee to consider that. That discussion was had, and I know that I came in on the back end of that. We did consider that, and there were in fact 2 calendars vetted at that time. The point I'm making now as a co-chair is to say that the calendar that we're obligated to do, and some of the things we have to do today, ladies and gentlemen, we just absolutely have to get done to make sure that we have fall dates and no dates in place for this transition in the banner, because that has to go to that committee to be inserted into this new AIS system. Technically, tomorrow it can be extended out to February 13th. So we'll have to have those set before, the start of the fall has to be in place before we reconvene again.
Well, that's what happened to us the last time, and we were forced to approve the last calendar, the last version of the 2012-13 calendar, because there was no time for us to discuss it. And I think it's unfair for this committee to have to approve this calendar under those same conditions this time again. We do not approve whether we have a winter intercession or not. We only make a recommendation to administration. And if this calendar was approved by the board, then we're doing things backwards, because this committee makes recommendations to administration, who presents it to the board, and then the board approves it. So I want to know how the process changed, why did it change, and why weren't we advised of that prior to us getting this, and us having only, what, 24, 48 hours to approve it?
Let me respond to that, let me get this question, and I'll come back.
Oh, it's not a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is a historical moment. Just to understand, winter came into being after at least 3 years of study and a campus vote. All inclusive.
Oh, okay.
We just didn't decide in a minute.
I've heard a few of you say that we're the only people that doesn't have winter now. Is that, I'd like to know if the higher ups in Sacramento or whatever, is this a trend that people are gonna start cutting out winters? Or, because I know Santa Monica canceled their winter when they thought about Prop 13. I know Glendale canceled their winter. I don't know if we're moving away from winters.
I think
They all
Glendale.
reinstated.
Are we the only people that are not doing winter?
Yes.
And is that
Yes.
the trend to not do winter or to keep winters?
There is no
Keep
trend.
winters, because I don't want to be out of sync with the rest of the schools. That's my biggest problem.
We are.
So most of the schools put them on hold.
Okay.
That's
I just wondered if there
And
was
then they
data,
reinstated
how
as soon as
many
the money
and
came
who,
down the pipe.
and if the other colleges are thinking about canceling their winters too, if everybody's trying to get on the same page, or if we're just the oddballs.
Good question. One I cannot answer, but I do
Okay.
know that, as you indicated, Glendale and San, two of our most contiguous campuses, did in fact cancel their winter intersessions, and they reinstated them. And the reason they reinstated them, in my opinion, is because of the fact that Prop 30 passed. My guesstimate is the proposition had passed, they probably would not have a winter intercession. That's just a guess.
Well, could I comment on that? Because I know a lot of the people at Glendale and Santa Monica, they're great union leaders. In both cases, they left the 6 weeks intact. Spring was never, the start of spring semester was never changed. So they understood if Prop 30 didn't pass, probably winter would be an empty space. But they were going to live with that. Prop 30 did pass, and they simply added the courses that they saw as appropriate to their budget. That's why this is gross mismanagement to completely eliminate the winter session. And now that Prop 30 is passed, it's sort of a double mismanagement.
Jim had his hand up, so did you want to say something?
Well, just specific detail, but getting back to your comment, in the spring, Cesar Chavez Day is on a Monday, but is that a holiday that can, I think that's a holiday.
can move
that
now.
can-
No, because
they-
I contacted the chancellor.
They're not allowing that to move now.
Yeah.
It's on the 31st, if that falls Monday
Oh.
through Friday, we have to take it on the 31st.
Okay.
We only get the flexibility if it falls on
On
a
the week.
Saturday or Sunday.
Okay, I was hoping, because that makes for 3 Mondays.
There's not, well, a fraction of the schools still have that day off.
We do have the option to celebrate it, don't we?
You have the option, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
at the community college level, out of the 110, I think maybe 45 or 50 have it.
Yeah, the college, PCC, we make a local decision whether or not we want to honor Cesar Chavez, and if that decision was made, it would come out of the calendar, the 31st would then be a date of instruction. But if the decision is made to honor it, it has to be honored on that specific day, comparable to the 4th of July, it has to be on the 4th of July, wherever it falls on the weekend calendar.
Question, could anyone answer her question? I did like.
Yeah, I don't, what I'll do is I'll attempt to give you an answer, and Cindy, I don't know if I'm gonna answer the question. With respect to why it got reversed, okay, what I'm gonna tell you is what I know since I've been here. I know we had the discussion before, I know this committee was asked to produce 2 calendars for 11-12 or 12-13, 11-12, okay. We're asked to do that, the committee took up that charge and presented that, and we all know that anything comes out of here is advisory and consultative to the administration, okay, as part of the shared governance group. So we did that, okay, and we took up that charge. We had a discussion in previous meetings about the efficacy of a winter intersession, whether we should keep a winter intersession, whether we should take out an intersession. That was part of 2 calendars of one with and one without. So that went forward. Obviously, the discussion was made, it went to the Board of Trustees, the Board of Trustees made a decision, okay, and I clearly get from the scope of this discussion, from public comment, and other scopes and other levels and range of discussion that we've had since that first came forward at PCC as a discussion, that there's some broad agreement and disagreement with that. Okay, and we all fall where we want to along that continuum. We all have our opinions of that. What I'm doing as a co-chair is going back and reinforcing the fact that, can I answer why, as you say, it was reversed? No, I can't. Okay. All I can do is tell you that the process that was followed is that the Board of Trustees, right, wrong, and indifferent, however we feel about it, made the decision for a calendar, an academic calendar, Pasadena City College, which includes the fall, the spring, and the summer term. That's where we are now. Now, we can talk about the efficacy of a winter term. I don't know if that's necessarily the singular purview of this committee. But we've had public comments, and I think it's appropriate we hear that from the public, and we've heard it before, so this committee needs to hear that and take that into consideration to the extent that I think our charge allow us to act on that. But again, as I understand the charge of this committee from College Council is the operational date under the calendar, and to whatever level we agree or disagree with it, what we have before us is the calendar. Now, the process that we got here, there's a whole range on that, we all know that, but for now, this is a calendar, and our charge is to deal with the operational dates under this calendar.
Bob, hi. Welcome back, by the way.
Thanks, I think.
Whatever sorts of we decide to do with the calendar with which we are presented, would there be future options within, say, the next several months to change it if we decided to, if it wasn't renegotiated to have a, was negotiated to insert a, to go back to the winter intersession, or is this going to be writ in stone?
Again, you're asking me questions, and no, folks, you're not talking to the definitive bottom line here, okay? What I'm saying, again, the calendar that we have in front of us is the calendar now. If it's a change and for whatever level the board makes a decision, we want to consider, are we going to a calendar which has a winter intersession, a different summer session, whatever the case may be. If that decision is made, then yes, it's a purview of the committee to then talk about what are we going to do under that calendar.
Can the committee ask to be allowed to draft another calendar?
It's the job of the committee to do that.
I mean, you're saying we have to work with what we have, but can we as a committee request to please draft a calendar that includes winter?
For the board to reconsider, based on the input from faculty and from students. There's overwhelming evidence that it's to the students' advantage if we have the winter intersession, and we are here for the students, for them to be successful. And I think that it would be in the best benefit of the students if we at least make that question to the board, if they would reconsider if we submit a calendar with a winter intersession in it.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, you're talking to one of the co-chairs, and can the committee make that recommendation to the board? I think as individual members of the college community, absolutely. Okay. I don't know if, I do not agree that it's in charge of the committee to say, here's a calendar of members of the Board of Trustees which we want you to consider. Now, I will speak to my co-chair. If my co-chair is willing, yeah, that information can go. We can talk about that going to the board, and there's a public comment section. I know the board has heard this. We all know the board has heard this, okay? And they heard it during the debate, which rendered the decision for this calendar. Okay, but this is the calendar that we have, not trying to be argumentative. This is the calendar that we have. And our task is to make the decisions on what we're going to do under this calendar. I don't know that a recommendation from this committee is really going to, one, change anything, and two, my biggest concern as a committee member is it's going to delay time for doing what we need to do to get this information into
a couple of things. First of all, it would not delay time because you're dealing with, we're talking about the spring semester, you're talking about the fall. You need dates for the fall.
Yeah.
So, you know, for the fall. So we can decide on the dates for the fall with the understanding that the spring is variable. It can include the winter or not include the winter.
Right, fall's irrespective of winter.
You know, yeah.
I would just like to make a clarification about that 10-11, those two calendars. Dr. Rocha came and asked us to do something else. Dr. Wilcox prepared an alternate calendar. We did not approve it. We just said if it changed, that's what it would look like, but it was not voted as an approval ever.
Okay.
You know, all you want to say, if it changed, what would it look like? Yes, that's what it would look like, but we did not vote to approve it.
I think correct.
And it says right here in our standing committee that we are to support the pedagogical and operational needs of the students. So we should have more say than just, is this flex day?
Yes.
I mean, really. I'm sorry, I'm upset. Yeah.
No, I think furthermore, this whole thing is upside down. I mean, when you say the board decided this calendar, what do you mean? The board did not sit down and make this, they just endorsed it. Who made it?
I think we all know who made it.
So, in other words, you were asking us to just, you know, say, you know, instead of asking for a genuine input, you're just asking for a yes vote.
Yes.
You know, to what is here.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, what I'm saying is, the calendar before us is the board-approved calendar.
So
The board doesn't approve a calendar before we recommend a calendar.
Yes, the
That's
board
never
does not
happened.
approve it, we recommend it.
Couple of things, ladies and gentlemen. One, we need to have a committee discussion. Danny, I don't mean to be rude, but we need to have a committee discussion, not really with the public. So I apologize if that seemed rude. We need to get this to me. So members of the committee, again, the reason this calendar was presented to you, this is the board-approved calendar for 13-14. Okay? I completely understand that members of this committee, and clearly members of the public in this larger college community, have a lot of concerns and disagreement with this calendar. One, the calendar itself. Two, the process that we came to arrive at the calendar. And three, the fact that we're in the position of having to make decisions with this calendar as presented to us now. Please hear me when I say I hear that and I understand that. Okay. What I'm speaking to you is as the co-chair, and I begin to get the sense I'm the singular voice of this group, but as the co-chair, as a member of this committee and one of the co-chairs, again, our charge as a committee is to consider the operational dates under the calendar. Now, again, why did the committee adopted the decision when Dr. Wilcox was there to do the two committees? I know it was a request from the superintendent president And I've read the history and I appreciate Linda and Haroldine and others who can give you the background on that. But again, specific to the charge of this committee, that's where I see us now.
I have one more question. When we are charged with approving the calendar, do we have the option of just approving one semester, or do we have to go all the way?
Well, it's a process.
I'm
We'll
just
finish
saying,
the
if
year.
today, if we say.
We make it up and then they approve it.
No, I'm
Yes,
just
that's
saying
how it
for
normally
today, if we can.
No, we don't.
Do
No,
it's either all or nothing, or
Okay.
can we just do the fall?
My sense is, I did not expect, even without this amount of comment, that we would get through the entire process of discussing the 13-14 calendar and come to complete conclusion date. Irrespective of the concerns that everyone expressed, we still have to talk about whether or not, because it's been suggested to me that the academic senate may want to look at a second professional development day for the 13-14 calendar. That obviously has to come to us whether or not they want to do it and when they want to do it. So there are other considerations we're going to have before we come to the final recommendation on the 13-14 calendar. And that will probably happen, I think, maybe the March, April meeting, whenever we get around to doing that. Go ahead, Cindy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
At what board meeting and what agenda
Yes.
item was this calendar approved by?
Yes. That's my
August
question.
29th.
When was this approved? Do you have the minutes to show that this is approved by?
I don't know.
I
This is the first time I've seen it.
I can certainly go pull that for you. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. I know it's during the summer, so.
Because I don't recall that it was presented to the board at one of their open public meetings to do so. And so unless they ignored the Brown Act and took action not in a public meeting, then I don't know how this is valid.
Well, again, what was approved by the board was a academic calendar for Pasadena City College, which have a fall, spring, and summer session in it. That was what was approved. Okay, and so.
I thought that was for 12-13.
That was for 12-13, okay? When we go to 13-14, there's been nothing that at least I'm aware of that has come from the board to suggest that the amount.
Is it a rollover thing?
Yeah,
Yes,
there's been nothing to suggest that there, any subsequent colleges would be anything other than a fall, spring, and summer consideration. And that's typically the way we've done it institutionally for any period of time, except for that period of time when, again, there was consideration of winter, no winter, back to the recommendation from the superintendent president when the board took that up. But historically, as far as I've been able to see, it's been that rolling, if you will, of the structure of the calendar for one academic year, preparing for the next academic year.
I don't really think that's accurate. When we changed to the winter calendar, we didn't simply roll it over. It went through a very long process, being vetted by multiple committees. So this calendar, when you're listening to people who have never seen this process unfold in this manner. Okay, we don't usually come to the table the second year and look at a calendar that we didn't make last year. We didn't make this calendar. We didn't approve this calendar. And that is why I suggested that we put a calendar that we did make and approve on the agenda, at least for our consideration, when we were first discussing these minutes. Now, I understand that there are some needs to be met in terms of the fall, but I hear from the people on this committee that there's a great sense of dissatisfaction about simply being handed a calendar that they have never seen before, never approved.
And I appreciate that. And I hear that as well, ladies and gentlemen. So I know it sounds like I'm the singular voice who's saying, I understand that completely. I know I sound very much like a broken record going back and trying to restate what the charge of the committee is. I want to make sure that the opinions of everyone, the opinions of the public are obviously important and honored in the opinions of this committee because we vary in range of where we are as a committee on this. Clearly, we have varying range on this. It needs to be a healthy discussion, but again, I want to always make sure we come back to our charge and we don't drift too far off the charge of the committee. Because at some point we have to come to closure on what the operational base is going to be on.
Dr. Bell, can I be heard for a second? Hearing everything that you said about the purview of this committee, it sounds like this committee could recommend that spring start on February the 18th.
I think we could.
Well, let's take the vote.
Wait a minute. On the heels of that, could we suggest to the Academic Senate that a study be run? Could we suggest to the board that we want to vet a calendar change? I mean, it was brought up, taking out that week before summer. When we put that week in, we polled the campus. And there was a process that we went through to do that. Can we suggest that we'd like to go through that process concerning winter?
Well, I don't think we're gonna have any real data on FTS until summer happens, until we see who signs up for that second session. And I think, the first session is going to be all our students. And then the second session, who comes in, and is it gonna be a bomb?
I don't know. You're right, we won't be able to make an accurate assessment of that and make decisions off of those data until we have those data, and we're not gonna know that until the end of the summer. Okay. Totally lost my train of thought.
I think we were talking about winter.
I don't know how that went away from me.
Can we just look at the fall schedule then?
Yes, fall
For now?
exclusively.
Just to clarify if there's anything to be discussed or?
Yeah, I count 85 days.
85 days.
Well,
Okay, let's look at, let's focus a little more. Let's look
I'm
at
not
the fall.
counting pink days.
Yeah, do you count finals though? You do count.
That's why I can't.
And he said no finals were Sunday.
I know, I was gonna touch
I
it.
have-
Finals do.
Finals are first.
With black and white.
Oh, if finals do count, then we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finals do come.
So finals do count for days of instruction?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, they do.
Oh,
They count, in the total, obviously it's not days of instruction, but they count towards the total 176.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if
I-
I had 170,
now we're
we're
good.
gonna add 12.
If I
David?
can interject, just on a logistical note, what really saves us in the 176 days is Saturdays.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Because when we went to a compressed calendar, we were allowed to use Saturdays as an instructional day.
We'd have to.
And so that's how we're always a little bit over our instructional days, which is good.
I have an unpopular suggestion. I'd like to move the Faculty Professional Development Day to a date before August 26th that it does not cost us a day of instruction in the classroom.
It's not in the contract.
As long as it's not mandatory.
Is there any way that we can, in future terms, move that to before the beginning of the semester
You
so
have
that
to
we
talk
don't
about
lose a
that
day of
first.
instruction?
If there, in my opinion, I'm not an expert on this, but if we insert a professional development day, that's any day outside of the contract for faculty, that has to be negotiated. Or we put in there as a total volunteer day and not have the expectation that faculty will be here.
Then could we suggest that fall of 2013 start on August 23rd, that day being a Faculty Professional Development Day?
That sounds awful.
Well,
I know it sounds awful.
sounds
I
just awful.
said it was going to be a
we did it years
positive.
ago, and it was highly impossible.
And
Yeah.
that's the day we usually have welcome day too.
Yeah, well,
Having
most
it-
faculty say, I need to be in my office, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that.
It's
I
also
don't need to be out
unpopular to
here."
lose a day of class time, though.
My teachers hate
Yeah.
losing instruction.
Yeah, I personally do as well.
So I understand, God, I'm going to sound like a curmudgeon. I understand the historical perspective, but, if we're going to move the discussion along, Matt, you want to put that out there as, do you want the committee to consider that, to take that up a discussion now, whether or not we want to consider moving the start of the August 2013 semester to Friday the 23rd versus Monday the 26th?
Yes.
I'm hearing body language and size and gestures, so I think I know the general agreement.
There's also another aspect of this, because we're losing a Tuesday, Thursday, and a Monday and a Wednesday. So if you happen to be teaching Tuesday, Thursday, and Monday, Wednesday, at least you have the same number of days.
And what he was talking about is spring semester, it lasted Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, no Mondays and Fridays, not the fall semester.
Yeah.
No, what he put-
Let's just
Well, this
focus
is a
on
different
fall.
issue than that.
Yeah, let's just
Okay,
focus
so-
on the fall.
Yeah, so we're mixing metaphors, folks. And if I'm wrong, Matt, correct me, but you're talking about the possibility of looking at starting the fall semester on Friday, August 23rd versus what it currently shows as Monday, August 26th.
Yes, with the caveat that that's just so that we can satisfy contractual obligations and have the Faculty Professional Development Day be within the contract. The contracted specified semester.
We would basically start the contract for the faculty.
Right.
You know, on the 23rd versus the 26th.
Yes.
Well, that's a negotiable issue.
So who negotiates?
The faculty
Faculty
association
association, yeah.
would have to be at the table negotiating that.
Just a comment. Looking at the calendar as we have it before us, you'll note that Thanksgiving holiday gives us just a week of instruction before finals.
Yeah.
I've never seen this happen for any number of years. It's because Thanksgiving is so late this year as opposed to earlier years. Students are going to lose energy over the Thanksgiving break, as they always do, and then just 5 more days, and then it's finals. I know there's nothing we can do about it, but it's just...
Well, there might be 2 alternatives, right? We can push the start of the semester back a week or forward a week. Thereby giving us, well, I don't think we would want a Thanksgiving break and then come back and here are your finals. But 2 weeks might be nice.
Well, about every 6 years, we moved back a week, so remember about 4 or 5 years ago, we started on the day after Labor Day and moved up to about the 21st. So I'm not recommending that, I'm just saying that at some point next year it'll be the 25th, and then it might be the week.
Of course, then if we pushed it back, then Grace would go on Christmas Eve.
We have started.
Yeah.
The 3rd,
Yeah.
which is saying.
Could I just interject a point of fact here, or maybe a point of fact? The new payroll department claims that if we don't start in August, that they cannot do 12-month pay. So Bob, you may need to be the final arbiter on that, but that's a discussion that's come up during negotiations.
Well, and again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to mix the discussions we're having in collective bargaining with what we do here. And I know that's an important point, Bob. You know, all those are external variables on the calendar which will influence in some way or another. And we may have to consider that with respect to when we start an academic calendar, if in fact it aligns itself well with what we have to do for payroll to make sure that faculty get paid. Because the last thing I want to do is make sure we put a calendar in place that doesn't allow people to get paid. That's a whole different discussion at a completely different level. So we are 7 minutes scheduled from adjournment. We're on item number 4. So based upon the conversation I had, let me make a suggestion on what I think I heard from the committee say. Given the fact that with the transition we're doing for Banner, we have a time-specific obligation to get that date to those members so they can transition over to Banner and get it set. And I was told it was yesterday, but I think it might be out until the middle of February. But in any event, that date specific is before we're going to reconvene as a committee. So that would mean we would have to come to agreement on the start date for the fall semester. And it's currently set for the 26th. There's not a motion, but consideration on the table for it to go back to Friday the 23rd. Matthew, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I moved that we start on Friday the 23rd.
With that being
With that being a professional development day. Well.
It's not that I don't agree with you, but we can't do that because it's a negotiating item. So even if I wanted to say yes, it'd be another thing that is just out in the air that doesn't get done because it's negotiated.
Well, we're taking it out of being a negotiating item by, it's the start of a semester, it's the start date for a semester.
No.
Well,
It's not in the current
So
contract, not according to our current contract.
You could just get rid of it.
Yeah, or you could put it.
Well, I don't think that we can get rid of it. It was, this is an academic senate thing, isn't it, the professional
Yeah.
development day?
Yes,
Yeah, that was.
yes.
So.
And it was voted on, so we
It was
have to
voted,
insert it.
and it's in there now, so I don't think we can unilaterally take it out without at least going.
That's
back
what
to
I-
the
that's
Senate
what I
and
thought.
And again, since I heard from the Senate across this week and previous week, it's the desire to put an additional day, or days of professional development.
Yeah, I've heard that
to
too.
the 13-14 calendar, so it would be counterintuitive to take it out.
And just very quickly, and if it was inserted by Academic Senate, I'm positive that they would want to be in the conversation of it moving to a pre-term.
Who of us are on, who of us on the committee are sit on Senate? You guys are Senate. Yeah. Would it be apropos for this discussion to go back to Senate and see if, because I know I've heard it's been discussed, but I don't know where they are on it.
Well, but on Monday, the Senate voted to restart its calendar committee.
Okay, yeah, and I know, because I heard that, and I haven't gotten a clear sense of that committee's charge, but I know they're gonna look at the pedagogical aspects of this calendar and what we're gonna do, so I'm sure that's discussion, but they're just starting up.
Well, I'm content with having the discussion to be effective in future calendars. I just want to throw it out there. Let's pull it out of the instructional time. That's all.
So we have there's a specific date we have to have soon for Banner to get fall on the road.
Yes, we have to get that.
What is that date?
That date, well, I was told initially it was February 1st, which would be tomorrow. Now I understand that they said we can do it as late as 12th, 13th, 14th of February, mid-month. But the date that they're going to need is going to be prior to the date that we need to convene. So that's why we have to at least come to closure on that right away. So, can I make a motion, Mr. Chair? I make a motion that we identify August 26th as the start date for the fall 2013 semester. And so we can go forward and not slow or derail the implementation of Banner, because we have to get those dates built into the system quickly. Because we're doing registration for the fall will be done through Banner, not through Legacy.
I second.
Discussion.
Back to the 1 week after Thanksgiving break, before finals. Is there anything that we can do about that? Because it doesn't seem really, for lack of a better word, good to have 1 week of instruction after a 4-day break and then finals.
We could clearly make the recommendation, obviously if you inserted a week between, 2 weeks between the Thanksgiving break and the start of finals, you're collapsing the back end down, so now you're into coming across Christmas.
Right,
but it have to go on the front end.
The 15th would move to the 22nd.
You would have to move it on the front end, in my opinion.
Public schools are increasingly taking that entire week off.
Yes.
Is it the 23rd?
The Thanksgiving week, yeah.
Yeah.
Take the whole week off.
I determined taking the whole week off. We
Those push me in the finals to the 18th.
Yeah, we would be. What's that?
If you did that, and that's a broader discussion probably, but then that would push the end of finals to the 18th.
And we could tack a week on
to the 18th.
Yes, I understand. But we could start spring a week later than we are than the calendar says here.
Well, we can table spring for now.
Yeah, let's not talk spring.
Okay.
But what you're thinking about the length of the holiday.
Yeah.
So folks, I'm gonna be real anal on this one and call the question. The motion is to go forward for the Lucian and our team, the implementation team for Banner, to have August 26th identified as the start date of the fall 2013 calendar. It's been seconded. Let's call for the vote. So all those in favor of August 26th being identified as the start date for the fall 2013 calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one?
And one, any abstentions? Okay, thank you. We have to schedule these.
Victory.
You may have to schedule these for 4-hour meetings. Okay, before we entertain a motion to adjourn, let me say this, and this may be this is not off the record, but I'm going to say that I appreciate the discussion. It is a healthy discussion. I know we disagree, but I still think that this is operating as a functional calendar committee and calendar committee. And irrespective of where we are individually on the opinions, I'm going to tell you as one of your co-chairs, and I hope I'm speaking for the other co-chair as well, I appreciate everyone's contribution to it. Okay. And having said that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We won't vote on it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.